Hi everyone, this is Delcony. In this video, I will be sharing with everyone on how to play Pendulum Magician and what are some of the tips and tricks to play through some of the weird scenarios. I will not be going through each and every card, so before this video, do make sure that you have already read up on all the effects of the cards. I will also be pasting the effects at the side of the screen for you to take reference from. Okay, so this is the deck list that I'll be using throughout the video to explain the different card effects, combos and scenarios. Okay, first up, EM Skull Crobat Joker. So this is actually the strongest searcher in the deck, which allows you to search almost all the cards in your deck. So what I have with me here are all the different types of monster in the deck itself. And actually, all of this you can search. The only things that you can't search are this bottom field. If you do realize that this is actually, you can search like almost like 75% of the deck. And to top it up, these two, you can't actually directly search with the Crobat, but then you can actually search for your Orb Eyes Revolution and use its effect to search for these two cards. So actually indirectly, you can actually search these two cards using the Crobat. Yeah, so if you actually put it in part of the list of the searchable cards, these are the only things that you can't search in the deck using this. Yeah, so this is a very strong card. Yeah, but the bad thing is this thing itself can't search for your Astrograph or Chronograph. Yeah, so do take note of this when you're playing with this deck or against one. Do not let them search your Astrograph and Chronograph using this. Yep. Okay, next up, the Purple Poison Magician. This is the main card you want in your hand when playing against decks with anti-spell fragrance or any face-up spell or trap or monster that will give you a problem, because it's destroy a face-up card on the field when it's being destroyed. So what I usually do is I'll just normal summon this card and then just attack anything and suicide, because it has a low attack of 1002, so it actually can suicide quite easily. So there's actually a number of ways to trigger its destroy effect. So firstly, you can actually use Pendulum Luster, scale both, use its effect to destroy this skill, and then search for itself and add to your hand. Then on the next chain, it actually triggers this effect whereby you can destroy one face card on the field, so I can destroy this. Take note that it's actually not once per turn, so you can manage to destroy this multiple times. You can actually trigger its effect more. Next up, the more standard one is actually using Electromite. So you can actually, Electromite can actually destroy its skill or anything on the field. So you can actually destroy this, and then it will trigger the destroy effect. Next up, the trap itself. The trap itself can actually destroy one magician and one card on the field. So when you actually target, let's say you target the Purple Poison and one card on the field, you destroy both, and on resolution, this guy got destroyed and it triggers effect in the new chain, destroy one face card. And another way is actually to when you have a Dark Spellcaster on the field, during the damage step itself, you can actually destroy itself, add 1002 attack to it, and then it will destroy itself lah. Then since it's triggered during damage step, the destroy face up card effect also triggers during damage step. Okay, something to take note for this is destroying face up card on the field effect is actually on either side of the field. So actually you can not only destroy your opponents, but you can also destroy your own field. One of the scenarios is one to have Electromite to take back your Astrograph from the extra deck. Usually what we do is we will want to destroy Double Iris to trigger its effect to get back a Pendulum Graph. But in this case, if I destroy away my Double Iris and add back my Astrograph, I can't, if I SP my Astrograph, I can't search for another copy of Double Iris because Double Iris is once per turn. Yeah. So in this scenario, so what happened is, using Electromite, I will destroy my Purple Poison, I'll add back my Astrograph. Then a new chain, I draw one card because the skill got destroyed. Chain 2, this card can destroy one face card on the field. I destroy my own Double Iris. Then chain 3, I will add back our SP Astrograph that has been added back to my hand. Yeah, so in this case, because Purple Poison has been destroyed, I can use Astrograph effect to search for one more Purple Poison and add to my hand. Yeah, so actually this is one way to play with it, but then to me it's not that ideal for situation to do this. Yeah, but it's really up to your current situation. Another thing to take note is the destroy one face up card is not once per turn. So what does this mean? So for example, in this situation, let's say I have a Luster here. I use its skill effect to destroy this card and add one same card to my hand. So this guy effect will activate to destroy one face card on the field. So let's say I target Marionetta. If let's say the opponent wants to negate and destroy this card, let's say for protocol, you can tribute this card and then attempt to negate and destroy this card. So let's say it resolve, this card has been negated and destroyed. So instead of going to the extra deck, because it's being destroyed while not on the field, it actually goes to the graveyard. Then because this card has been destroyed again, it gets to trigger the destroy face card effect again. So in this case, I can actually target protocol and destroy it. But do take note, let's say in this situation, once it's in the graveyard, and let's say now I trigger this, I target protocol. Let's say the opponent has a Gamma and decide to use it on my purple poison. It actually will negate the effect. Although Gamma itself has a negate and destroy effect, but because it's already in the graveyard monster can't be destroyed again. So actually the negation will happen, but the destroying will not, because the card inside the graveyard will not be considered as being destroyed. Okay, next up, the Black Fang Magician. Not a very popular card, and is mainly used as a replacement for Double Iris when Double Iris becomes limited to 1. Most are thinking actually like, what's the use of special summoning of Dark Spellcaster from the graveyard when Pendulum card actually goes to the extra deck when it leaves the field. A few scenarios when your Dark Spellcaster are in the graveyard is when it's used for exit material, so stuff like Star Time. When it detaches its exit material, it actually goes inside the graveyard. Another thing to take note is this card skills effect is actually you can destroy itself, so you don't really need to wait for respawn, or not like Purple Poison, you need to attack before you can destroy itself. This card, as long as opponent controls a monster, you can actually destroy itself to half its attack. This is normally done if let's say there's a certain Dark Spellcaster in your graveyard that you really want to special summon out. Okay, next is if you are playing with a deck that has many traps such as Autogeist, and they usually have like Judgment, Warning, or Strike in their back row, you'll normally want to stack out or more Black Fang. Why is that so? Because when you do a Pendulum summon, if let's say they do a Judgment on your Pendulum summon, the monster actually all triggers their on destroy effect, and actually because since they don't touch the field, they actually all go to the graveyard. So in this case, let's say if the graveyard is empty and I only Pendulum summon one Black Fang, it won't touch the field, and then it gets negated and destroyed and sent to the graveyard. Since it's being destroyed, I can actually activate this effect to SP one Dark Spellcaster from the graveyard, and then it can target itself, and then I'll SP back the Black Fang. So this can work if let's say there's multiple copies of Black Fang. For example, now I have these 3 cards in my hand. So let's say if I proceed to Pendulum summon this, if my Pendulum summon got negated, this card will all go to the graveyard. Because I have 2 Black Fang there, I'll trigger Black Fang 1 and Black Fang 2 effect when destroy SP1 Dark Spellcaster. So 1, maybe I can target itself, and 2, I can maybe SP back my Harmonizing. So in this case, even though I got Judgment, I still managed to Pendulum summon back 2 of my monster. Yeah. So this is also something to take note when you are playing against a Pendulum Magician, to not Judgment, Warning or Strike when there's a Black Fang being summoned out. It will most probably revive back most of their things. Yep. Okay, next we have the Oath Dragon Magician. Not my favorite magician because of the multiple bad points, such that it's a skill 2 instead of 1, it's a level 6 not 4, so I can't normal summon this, it's a wind type not a dark type, so I can SP back with Black Fang if it's in the graveyard. That being said, this card is actually the best friend of Harmonizing and Insight Magician. Why do I say so? So yeah, first thing first, Harmonizing, once it's in the extra deck, you can't Pendulum summon it out. So what you can do is, once it's inside the extra deck, you can actually activate its Oath Dragon skill effect. As long as the other side of the skill is actually a Magician card, you can add back 1 Magician card from your extra deck to your hand. So this is the only way to get back your Harmonizing and then to Pendulum summon it out again. Okay, why do I say that Insight Magician actually is like a best friend of Oath Dragon? So let's say in this case, if you happen to have like 2 Insight Magician in your hand, you most probably need to skill both. Then you use one effect, destroy itself, and set a new skill, which will usually set Oath Dragon. Next, I will use the other side effect, it's not once per turn, destroy itself and set a new skill. Then I can use Oath Dragon effect to take back one of the Insight Magician that's been sent to the extra deck back to my hand. Because if I Pendulum right now, I can only Pendulum 1, because I only have 1 extra deck zone. So in this case, I will need to take back 1, so that I can Pendulum both, 1 from the extra deck and 1 from my hand. Yep. Next up, I want to jump away from Magician a bit and talk about this card, the Orc Eye Synchron, which I actually name it as the Oath Dragon worst friend. I hate having these 2 cards in my hand, and if I'm forced to at least skill one of them, Simply because if you skill Oath Dragon, you can't Pendulum Summon Synchron because it's a skill 2 and it's a level 2. Similarly, if you skill Synchron, you can't Pendulum Summon Oath Dragon because it's a skill 6 and it's level 6. And also, it's because of this card itself, it makes your Pendulum Sorcerer as good as a tuner. So what usually happens is, you Pendulum Summon it out, destroy one card on the field to add one EM monster. You can destroy up to 2, so you can actually destroy 2 cards and then add 2 cards. So but for this demonstration, I'll just use 1. I'll destroy 1 card on the field and add an EM monster to my hand. I will add this. If I skill this, I can actually, the skill effect, I can target 1 EM monster on the field, change it to level 1 and change it into a tuner. So actually, if you manage to actually SP this card or Pendulum Summon this card out, it's as good as a tuner if you find the All Eye Synchron out. Okay, next up, the White Wing Magician. This card is actually just recently added to a number of deck lists in the tournament, and I'm pretty sure it's just to add in to make the whole deck more consistent to have more Pendulum Magician. The monster effect is trash. The skill effect, you won't usually use it since your ending field does not usually have a dark spellcaster other than a Star Time Magician. And then it's a wing type, it's not dark, so you can revive it with Black Fang. The only good thing is this thing is a tuner. One scenario I can foresee the skill effect being used is if this is in the skill, and then I activate Star Time effect to search for one dark spellcaster, and then if let's say I get Veiled or Impens, I can actually activate White Wing effect to negate the effect and then destroy itself. After you negate the effect, I can actually use Star Time Magician effect to prevent the destruction by sending a spellcaster from the deck to the graveyard. So in this case, I can still continue to search for my dark spellcaster, and then I get to send one card from the deck to the graveyard. Yeah. Okay, I just want to quickly highlight this card effect to SP1 Pendulum Magician from the deck when it's Pendulum Summon. But there are 2 very important restrictions right here that most people don't tell you guys. So firstly, this thing, like what I mentioned previously, this card cannot be Pendulum Summon from the extra deck. Next, which also not very often explained, is this card, if used for Exceed, Synchro or Fusion material, the other material must be a Magician card. So I cannot Exceed to, let's say, a Beast Dweller using Dark Worm. I cannot Synchro with this. I cannot Contact Fusion with this as well. So do take note this very important restriction. Okay, next, the Double Iris Magician. As everyone knows, this card is mainly used to trigger to destroy itself and then to get your 2 Pendulum Graph cards. So do take note that its skill effect, there's actually a quite useful skill effect whereby you can destroy itself and give one of your dark spellcaster double battle damage against monster. Do take note, the effect that destroy itself and give it double battle damage can't be activated during turn 1 because there's no battle phase in turn 1, so you can't give it battle damage boost. Similarly, you can't activate its effect during any of the main phase 2 as well because there's no battle phase after main phase 2. Okay, next, the Celestial Magician or EM Imperial Magician, the new addition to the Pendulum Magician family. Effect is rather okay, but to me it's good because it's an EM monster as well. Why is it good? It's because this card can be searched by your Pendulum Sorcerer card. Yeah, so it can be searched when this card destroys cards on the field. And then it's because it's a EM card, you can actually make it a tuner with the card that I mentioned earlier on, which is the Odd Eye Synchron. So as for the rest of the card effects, for example, if your Star Time got destroyed by monster effect or any battle or anything, you can actually trigger this effect to SP back Star Time and then you destroy itself. But there's one catch to this. So let's say in this exact scenario, Star Time got destroyed and then you trigger the effect. It SP back the Star Time and then you attempt to destroy itself. But since Star Time is already back on the field, it can actually use its effect to protect this card from being destroyed. So I can actually use the effect, send one spellcaster to the grave, and then it will not be destroyed. Yeah. Okay, next up, the EM Pendulum Sorcerer. As mentioned previously, this card when SP, you can destroy up to 2 target on the field and then add up to 2 EM cards from your deck to your hand depending on the number of cards you destroy. So the only legit EM card that you can search using Pendulum Sorcerer is actually these 3 cards. So which are the 2 cards that I usually add? So let's say if I'm in this scenario, I have no tuner on my field, I will normally add 2. I will normal summon this, then I'll add Insight Magician to my hand. I will skill these 2, and I'll use the effect to actually make one of them tuner so I can make my Needle Fiber later on. This is if you don't have a tuner already on the field. If I already have a tuner, maybe I already have this on the field, I will add these 2. I will normal summon this, skill this. Normal summon, I'll add this inside to my hand. Inside, I'll use the effect to destroy itself, and then I'll set Oath Dragon here. So this Oath Dragon, I'll activate its effect to add back 1 card from my extra deck to my hand, so I can get to keep 1 more card in my hand. Yeah, so these are actually just 2 very simple scenarios on how I will use the Pendulum Sorcery effect. Okay, next up, the Pendulum Luster Draco Slayer. It's not an EM Magician or I card, so why is it needed in the deck? It's quite important because it actually triggers the Destroy effect while also at the same time adding a card to your hand. This card mainly uses to trigger Pendulum Graph Magic, your Chronograph or Astrograph. But do take note that this card can be Uara, and if it does, no cards will get destroyed and it cannot be activated again. So let's say in this case, I want more of this Celestial Magician. I scale this 2 and I attempt to destroy this card to add the same card to my hand. And let's say if I get Uara, I can't do anything. I can't rescale again. So do take note that if you really want to destroy the other side, make sure it's at least a low skill, so actually you can Pendulum Summon 2, 3 and 4. In this case, I can only Pendulum Summon 6, 7 because I'm a skill 5 and 8 right here. Next up, the Dark Worm and the Gate 0. Not much use, but the main reason these are in the deck is Dark Worm actually searches for 0 and it gives you 1 more Pendulum card in your hand. And Dark Worm is actually searchable by your Odd Eyes Revolution. Although I usually don't normal summon this to add the donut, I usually just Pendulum Summon and then just take 1 or use it to do Chain Block. For the 0 effect, the skill effect, you don't really use the skill effect because the skill effect requires you to have the other side of the gate, which is the Infinity, and you don't play it in the deck. But as for the monster effect, it's actually quite useful. So let's say if now I have 2 cards on the field already, so I can actually use the monster effect, target 1 more card on the field, destroy itself and the top card that it target on the field, and then special summon Synchro or a fusion monster from the extra deck with this effect negated. But take note that monster special summon cannot be used for Acid, Synchro or fusion. So then what's the purpose of summoning that, right? So let's say in this example, let's say I destroy both already. I will usually SP this. Shooting Rise Dragon is actually a tuner. So once I SP out this, I can actually link these 2 to become a Needle Fiber. This is like one of the desperate measures when you really don't have any of the tuner from the deck. Okay, Dark Worm actually has another effect which is from the graveyard. I can actually, if I control no monster, I can actually SP out. But as of my deck list, there's no way for me to get this card into the graveyard. And one more thing for desperate measures, if let's say I control no monster and this is like maybe the only card in my hand, I can skill it and activate its effect. Control no monster, I can set 1 gate directly from the deck to the skill. But do take note, if I activate this effect, I can only Pendulum Summon a Dark Monster. Yeah. Okay, next up is the Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon. This card itself searches for Pendulum Dragons, which are the Dark Worm and the Pendulum Luster, which actually makes Skullcrobat itself indirectly able to search for the 2 dragons like what I mentioned in the earlier part of the video. When it's on the field, I gain attack equal to half the opponent's life point, and I can half my own life point to shuffle everything on the field and graveyard back to their deck. But how do you actually summon out this? You usually don't summon this thing unless you're playing Infinity, which I don't. So what happens is normally you discard this card and add 1 Pendulum Dragon to your hand. And then when this card is in the graveyard, let's say you can summon this Staff Venom, you then copy its effect and then you gain its effect. So your attack itself will be up by 4,000 assuming your opponent has 8,000 life point. And because of the Staff Venom effect itself, once it activates its effect, it does piercing. So it's actually a 6,800 piercing. And if that is not enough, you can use its effect to halve my own life point to shuffle everything else on the field back to the deck. Yeah. So let's say if I activate its effect and it goes through, let's say opponent is all empty. If I have not used up my normal summon, I can just normal summon something that is more than 1200 attack, and then I can go for the kill straight away. 6008 plus this is 1008. And next, one of the more forgotten effect is scale effect. Normally you don't scale this, although it's like a scale 12 Yeah, because once you skill this, you can only Pendulum summon Dragon Monster, which actually most of the card is not a Dragon type. So why do I want to skill this? If let's say there's a Dragon type extra deck monster that you want to revive out, you can use the skill effect and then you SP back one Dragon monster from the graveyard. Okay, next up, the Tomb Magician. I actually use it because it's just one of my favorite cards. Although most of the time people use Effect Veiler, but the main thing is you just need a 1-star tuner that can be SP out by Needle Fiber. So there's a number of other 1-star tuner like the Hound, which we use it if we want to come out with Natural Beast. Yeah. Okay, next, the Duelist Alliance. This card searches for two types. One, a Pendulum card with the word Pendulum in its name, and a spell or trap with the word Pendulum in it. So in the deck list that I have shown, these are actually all the cards that can be searched by this. So these two, because they are called Pendulum Graph, so you can search for either one of these. Then next, this is called EM Pendulum Sorcerer, that's how you can search for this. This itself, Pendulum Luster Draco Slayer, also has a pendulum in its name, so you can. So what about Double Iris? Why can I search Double Iris? Because Double Iris effect is actually also, its name is called Pendulum Dragon. So do take note that this card actually can search for Double Iris. Okay, next, the two most important cards in the deck, and the reason why Double Iris is being limited to one is a spell that keeps searching and a trap that everyone fears. The spell lets you search for a magician when another magician leaves the field, be it on skill or as a monster. But do take note that if you exit summon using a magician card, it does not trigger the leave the field effect, even though that exit material is not considered to be on the field. Don't ask why, it's just a Konami thing. Trap wise, the main scariness of the trap is if it fails to destroy two cards, you can send one card on the field to the grave without targeting, and it's all within that same chain and effect. So be it if you fail to destroy your own card or your opponent's card, you get to send one card on the field to the graveyard. Star Time itself and the trap allows you to destroy one card on the field and then send one non-target card to the graveyard without committing any resources on the field or hand. Okay, in addition, both has another effect which is often forgotten. The spell version actually prevents all your spellcasters from being targeted by spell, while the trap actually prevents all your spellcasters being targeted by trap. Okay, last but not least, the Astro and Chronograph brothers and their juniors. So both Astrograph and Chronograph triggers when something is being destroyed, anything be it spell, trap or monster. But do take note that Astrograph itself only allows you to add monster cards. So even if let's say your spell or trap got destroyed, you can still SP Astrograph, but you can't search for the spell or trap to add to your hand. Whereas for Chronograph, you can still jump out and together with another monster card from my hand if anything got destroyed. One thing to take note is, for Astrograph, its SP effect is actually considered as two different special summons. So if let's say your opponent chain Maxi to Chronograph effect, they will actually draw two cards if you intend to summon one more monster from your hand. As for Astrograph, you can add cards that are being destroyed even earlier during the turn. It does not have to be the card that has been recently destroyed only. For example, this scenario, what you destroy it and set a new skill, and then maybe let's say you Pendulum summon out both of this card, and then you link it away for Electromite. Electromite effect trail from deck to extra deck. Then if let's say now I use Electromite effect, I destroy at Double Iris, I want to take back my Astrograph. If I SP out my Astrograph, I can't search for anything, because in this case, Insight Magician has already been summoned out just now, and the last thing itself is link it away as a link material. So it's not labeled as being destroyed, so you can't use Astrograph effect to add back Insight. So do take note of this. Okay, next up is the two juniors of the Astrograph and Chronograph. For these two cards, there's actually a very big bad point about these two cards. When they are in skill, if the other side is not a magician card, both of their skill will become 4. So let's say if I skill this card, I skill a EM monster at the other side, this card will automatically become skill 4 instead. Next up, only for Time Gazer Magician, this card cannot be skilled if you control a monster. They each respectively have some monster effect which I won't be going through, but do take note of the restriction of these two cards. Next up, I will just do a quick run through of the extra deck monster. I won't spend much time on this because most of the cards everyone already are very familiar with. First up, the Electromite. If you're unsure what to negate when playing with Pendulum Magician, just negate this guy. Next, Neither Fiber needs no explanation as well. Just take note that its effect can mainly summon these two guys. Then next up, Supreme Star Venom. Like what I mentioned earlier, this is mainly to copy your Odd Eyes Revolution effect, or to copy Electromite effect itself to add back more cards to your hand. Next, Star Time is a must to me. Do remember, for the Destruction Negation, you can mill a non-pendulum spellcaster as well. So actually you can throw in this card from the deck to the graveyard to prevent destruction of a pendulum card. Okay, next up, the Ignister Prominence Draco Slayer. To me, this is one of the very important cards as it returns a card to the deck without targeting. The cost is actually just to target a pendulum card monster on the field to attempt to destroy it, and then on resolution you send one card on the field back to the deck. Next, Borreload needs no explanation. This to me is also a must in the deck. Then Clearwing Supreme King. This example you just do a Bob White, you destroy all face-up attack position monster. And lastly, to me a must-have card is Shooting Riser Dragon. This is actually used by for Neither Fiber to banish itself, and you can SP this card. And then during opponent turn, you can actually adjust its level according to what's on the field, and then synchro summon out Clearwing to do the Bob White. Okay, then these are some of the optional cards that I think will be useful to be in the extra deck. TG Magician, used for Neither Fiber to jump out and destroy one spell trap, and then once this thing dies, right, it actually draws a card, so I think it's not so bad. This Kenny Synchro, this is for another disruption. If a monster effect is activated, I can banish it. That's a generating tool, either can be the ship or the Brute Enforcer. Then Dark Rebellion, this is for if I want to go for pure damage. Abyss Dweller needs no explanation, Babushka needs no explanation, and then 38, I just mentioned it just now. Alright, next up for the combo. The easiest way to think of a combo for Pendulum Magician is to try to populate your extra deck before the Pendulum Summon, and if even better, if you can link summon Electromite before you Pendulum Summon, that would be even better. But the only way to do that is actually to either have like an Astrograph or Chronograph in your hand. Let's say this is my starting hand. I'll do a normal summon. Firstly, I'll need to make sure that I have a tuner in my hand. So upon normal summoning this guy, I'll search for Harmonizing Magician. Then next, I'll just scale anything that's in my hand. Old Dragon here, and then Wisdom Eye here. Then I'll activate this, use this Alliance to search for the Bell Pendulum Graph card. Activate it. Inside effect, destroy itself and set a new scale. Most of the time we set double Iris card because we will want to get out the trap card from the deck lah. So upon destroy, chain 1 I can search for a Magician card because something left the field. Chain 2 Astrograph to jump out and resolve the Astrograph first to add an Inside Magician to my hand. Then for this, I'll just add the Celestial Magician into my hand. Okay, then next, since I already have 2 monsters on field, I'll just do a Link Summon for Electromite. In fact, I'll throw 1 card from my deck to extra deck. And actually I got almost everything that I wanted. So I can either throw a Pendulum Sorcerer card, or actually maybe if I want to increase my hand size as well, I can also throw in a Dark World. In this example, let me just throw in a Dark World. Electromite will use its effect, destroy 1 card on the field. Normally we will want to destroy double Iris. And just to make sure you at least have a card that you can search back using Astrograph if you choose to pick back Astrograph. Sometimes we do throw out Chronograph from the deck to extra deck to make sure we can SP more. So now effect, destroy double Iris, add back Astrograph to my hand. And chain 1, because the skill got destroyed, I can draw 1 card. Chain 2, double Iris, I get to search a threat. And chain 3, I'll SP out the Astrograph and add back 1 card that's being destroyed this turn, which is actually still Inside Magician. So SP out, I'll add another Inside to my hand. And then double Iris resolve, I add 1 trap to my hand. And then I get to draw 1 card. So just to simulate, I'll just draw a useless card, which is Alliance, because it's 1 certain. Yeah. Okay, next up I'll continue to just scale all this and then destroy. Usually I do Black Fang because I will exit to Star Time later, which actually gives me a choice if I want to SP out something from my graveyard after that. So all in place, so extra deck I have like around 4 cards right now, and on my hand there's actually a Harmonizing, which is good enough already. So most of the time I will actually try to go for Pendulum Summoning a Dark type monster, because for Star Venom right here, its material is actually 2 Dark Pendulum monster. So just in case you need to get this thing out, I'll recommend to get out your Magician priority, and also if possible a Dark Spellcaster. Yeah. So in this case, Pendulum Summon double Iris and actually a Dark World, because I want to trigger the effect to add Nomnat to my hand. And then I'll SP Harmonizing out. Harmonizing effect, I can actually SP Purple Poison. I'm also going to do an Exit Summon for Star Time right here. Oh yeah, before that, the Dragon I can add in the Donut. And then effect, I'll detach actually purple poison, search for 1. In this case, I'll search for chronograph. And then since I actually have a lot more resources on my hand, and with chronograph on my hand, right, I can actually do more. I'll link away these two, like to what I mentioned just now, the Staff Venom. So Staff Venom effect, copy Electromite. Then effect, I'll destroy this card. And then add back Astrograph again. And similarly, I can trigger this card again. So chain 1, Black Fang got destroyed. Chain 2, Astrograph can SP out. So SP out, since Black Fang was destroyed, I can add 1 Black Fang card. And then Black Fang itself, I can SP out 1 more monster, so I can SP out my purple poison right here. So if you realize, then I can do the same thing again, another Staff Venom. Let me just kill Black Fang again. And before I get destroyed, maybe I can use my Oath Dragon to take back 1 magician card from my extra deck. Then effect, copy, effect, destroy and take it back. So I'll take back Astrograph again, add to my hand. Then after that, let me just do a quick 38 here. Lastly, do a Link Summon first, Needle Fiber. Okay, then the effect, I'll SP out this actually. So next up, effect inside, destroy itself, set a new skill, and as usual, I'll still set Black Fang. Then which triggers the effect, chronograph effect, and then I can SP out 1 more guy, which I'll most SP out this guy. Okay, next, I'll synchro these two for your Warlock Salvage. Then after effect, I can equip this card to it. So actually just now I should have activated the Celestian effect first while I still had Pendulum card in my hand. So at the end of the turn I can add 1 Pendulum card to my hand, which actually I forget lah. Yeah. So still have around like 5 cards in my hand. So I'll just set this card here, and that's it. This is your perfect board lah for a Pendulum Magician. There's like 1 disruption here with this two. Because this guy can actually jump to Shooting Rise Dragon, and then you can actually tune this guy for a Clear Wing. For you to during opponent's turn you can do a what? Yeah. Or let's say if you are playing with some more trap related deck, this guy can jump to TG Magician here to destroy 1, and that's it lah. Yeah, this guy is 1 disruption by itself. This thing is also 1 disruption by itself. And then this guy is to combo with your trap card to actually send 2 cards on the field to the graveyard. Yeah, 1 is destroy lah, 1 is send. Yeah. So basically that's it for the perfect combo for Pendulum Magician. We have finally come to the end of this video. It's actually a lot longer, but I cut away a big portion of it. Do let me know if the video is helpful, and share with fellow Pendulum Magician players on extra tips and tricks in the comment section below. I'm thinking of a video concept where we analyze players in a match and them sharing their thinking process when playing the game. Do let me know if you think such video will be interesting. Once again, thanks for watching the video,